and good evening, TGIF, everybody. It's a freaky, fantastic, fun-sized Friday. I'm here. Usually I do games on Fridays and Saturdays, but you know what? I decided, you know what? I need to do some art. I need to catch up on some work. I want to make myself some nice emotes. So I got like rough sketches and stuff off of my iPad on my Procreate. Just transferred them over, and I'm gonna try to get this one done. Yeah, it's a rough sketch. Oops. But we will work on it. Oh, hold on. Oops. Got my stylus. It's hard. Everything's black in a dark room. And it's like, I lost my stylus. Where did it go? Oh yeah, OBS, like, updated. A lot of probably already know that, but some of my things aren't working still, like my TTS little hedgy buddy. I almost got him to work, but for some reason, I don't know, it's bugging out. It's driving me crazy. Like, it worked, it was like frozen, and now it just doesn't. I might have to like rip it all out and put it back in. So yeah, don't mind me, but let's chill. Let's just chill and get some work done. Maybe I should sketch over this sketch. I got my reference from another Jewel Life made. I need to redo the lines, I think, and the heart, because I had a rough idea, but I couldn't remember. But yeah, I thought for like a little heart container would be a cute heart emote. A little homage to, you know, Legend of Zelda. Love that series so much. Gosh. I'm lost. Yeah, because originally, again, I usually do games, and I'm like, oh, if I did games and stuff, what would I do? But I felt like nothing was calling out to me. Like, sure. Oh, yeah, look at that. It's all white. Yeah, well, I had to save it as like a PNG. I can work around it. Who cares? But, yeah. It's like, yeah, I could have played, like more Assassin's Creed or Watch Dogs and stuff, and I don't know. As much as I want to, I feel like it'd be more fun for me than the viewer. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Hi, Mint. How are you? How are you this lovely Friday evening? I guess it would cut through people. It's like a super duper rough sketch for me because like I imported it. Oh yeah, I should use my ruler. Hold up. Drag it over from here. That'll work. I'm doing well so far. Like, it was kind of a meh day. But overall it was alright. I'm just, again, so happy that, what am I doing? I really don't know what I'm doing. I keep getting the wrong layer. I'm just so glad that the weather isn't stinky. Like, it's stinky in a way because, like, cloudy and yucky looking out there, but, I'm so happy that it wasn't over 100 today, because, like, my little roly-poly AC units were actually able to keep up and keep me cool, because when it was triple digits, it felt like it was barely making a dent. It was terrible. But yeah, like, I made emotes and stuff, but it's like, that's not what I wanted. So I'm trying to gear it toward the style that I really wanted. Because, you know, like, I popped them on the Discord and stuff. And the cry emote, it really is cute. But it will be replaced eventually. Because I want it to look more like Fen. Not quite sure how this is gonna work.
Hello, little hobbit.
Floofy! Welcome in, Floofy. I hope you're doing terrific on this freaky fun-sized Friday. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't do gems too often. But yeah, like I got my little reference from another gem I've made. And I'm like, maybe I could just copy that. I'm trying to make newer emotes that look more like Fen. Like, I don't know. Because I like the cry emote. I do. But it's not... I don't know. It's not Fen enough for me. I need more Fen. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe once it's all shaded in and junk, it'll look better. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. How's life going for both y'all? I hope it's good. I decided to not use Spotify this time because Spotify has been peeing me off because of all the commercials. Like, what? I play 1 to 3 songs and I get, like, commercials up the butt. So I just went on YouTube and did DMCA, whatever, free, copyright-free music. Why didn't I do that sooner? Because from the look of it, I think this playlist is like an hour long, and it doesn't look like they have any commercials on it. I know, they were so pesky and annoying. I don't know. So I guess I'll do that for now on. Unless I, like, so happen... I don't know. I don't know. Ugh. I'm not really good with the hands. I think the thumb has to relax a little more outward. Yeah, I think that would. Alright, maybe I'll try to start outlining this.
1_mint_ice cream_1 says Fen equals sized.
Or sized equals Fen. Well, yeah, it makes me sad, because, like, Hedgie's not talking. Ever since OBS updated. Driving me nuts. And I tried to fix it. I really did. And at one point, what is it called? I don't even know if I'm going to pronounce it right, but one of the, Marcos or whatever in my advanced scene switcher thingamaroo, like, one of the settings I made sure and checked and updated, and when I tested it, it opened its mouth and then it froze there. And it wouldn't go back to the default where it's like the resting face. I can hear him, it's just he's not animating. But I can hear him. Driving me cray-cray. So I don't know if I have to like just uninstall it completely, or maybe if anything I'm gonna have to like get rid of the update and go to the older version prior to have things working. Gosh, I have to touch it. Touch. Okay, that's better. Oh, I hate it when it's such a big line. Hold on, I gotta use a handy dandy ruler. Will you go up high enough? Come on. Oh, baby. Come on. Oh, yeah, I'm just gonna be chilling out. Hopefully, just nothing too cray-cray. Because if it weren't for me working on emotes and stuff, I was, like, well, maybe I do fan art of something, but what? Because I have other plans, but I'm not confident to execute them yet.
Hello, little
But,
hobbit.
you know. Bleh, 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 bleh. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I think that one's like a 15-minute cooldown. Yeah, because what happened, like, I knew better from the get-go, but my brother-in-law, when he was streaming, I did that to him. Granted, he did have a cooldown of 5 minutes, but I sat there and abused it. It was great. I think I said this story before, but yeah, so kept drinking and drinking, and I'm just like giggling to myself like an immature idiot. Like, oh, he's gonna have to get up and use the bathroom, and I'm gonna laugh, and it's gonna be great.
Ice cream _1 says meaning fen.
Ah, it's all in good fun. But the thing is, like, he didn't go and use the bathroom, and my sister-in-law helps him stream modding and all that jazz. Ah, and she was in on it too. She loved it. She's like, yeah. Ah, I can't reach that line. I'll probably use a ruler again. But anyway, yeah, he just wouldn't. Ah, wrong one. He wouldn't have to go. So it's like, what's wrong with this guy? They went out, grabbed like food for dinner. It was really late though, obviously, because he streams pretty late. But where's the shortcut thingy-mabobby? There it is. I keep forgetting. I get sidetracked.
_mint _ice cream _1 says _mint ice cream _1 mint ice cream _1 mint ice cream _1.
What ended up happening, gosh, sorry, I'm just losing my train of thought. But yeah, it's like, dude, he hasn't gone. And even after they went out, picked up food and all that stuff and came back, and I asked, and she's like, yeah, he did not have to go. He only went once. So, joking, but I'm like, you know, I saved his life, you know, because if he is that dehydrated that he drank all of those hydrates that I redeemed, yet he only had to go once after that, after a while too, not right away. I'm like, he must have been so severely dehydrated. I saved that guy's life. You can't convince me otherwise. I just laugh. Oh, I have it on narrow. Did it look good? Nah. I should probably fill it down a bit. So this too. That makes me feel better. Looks a little rigid, but once it's all done, I'll probably look fine. Yeah, he usually streams at 10. So if anything, I'll raid him. And sometimes he'll come in and visit before, if he has time after work, before his stream. Boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna just do more of the rulers, it helps. It's such a big curve, because, let me see, I can try. I need to get one of those, not half bad. Maybe I can try again. I need to get myself one of those gloves that you use while you doodle on tablets. And they have like that nice soft cloth material. Eh? Why are you bringing in garbage? What's happening? I hope you're doing well, Demon Werewolf. Happy freaky fen-sized fantastical Friday. It's not half bad. Okay. Yeah, I'll keep it. Okay, so again, I'm working on emotes, and this is, you know, like, if you're familiar with the Legend of Zelda games and you find a heart container, Link kind of puts it over his head, like, dun da 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 da. Pretty much that. So I'm making an emote, Fen raising up a little heart crystal as well. And that'll be my heart emote. What chat role is that? Oh, a piss baby? Hold on. Are we talking about sheep? Sorry. Are we talking about sheep? Oh! Oh my gosh. Sorry, that went over my head, Demon. I try not to swear or anything or have, you know, bad talk, but if anything, I go on sheep stream and I'm dirty there. I try not to be, but I can be a little perverted sometimes, but I want to be better, so on my stream I try to be goody two-shoe, and everywhere else I'm terrible. I don't swear, but like once in a while I make like a innuendo like joke or something, and then I get floofy upset. I'm sorry. I know. They hit me with a newspaper roll or something, be like, no! Or get a little water squirt bottle. Mostly! Oh, that means I've been pretty bad lately. I'm sorry. Oh gosh. So Demon, are you like those peeps like, oh, I don't know why I think this, but like those games like Fable where you get to decide if you're the good guy or the bad guy, you always choose bad guy? I'm always a good guy. Like, I always try to do the right thing. But while I've streamed a couple of games, Floofy has witnessed me being bad, but like not totally on purpose. Always. Oh yes, yes, definitely when Kaiju's here. He's a bad I told you, Floofy. He is a bad influence. Can't even do fingers. Curse you, fingies. I don't know what I'm doing. We'll figure this out. Eventually. I also wanted to do like a tea drinking fen and stuff like that. I don't know, I gotta come up with more ideas. Oh! I don't know if you saw it, Floofy, but I did complete animation and I have it pending in Twitch to be used as my animated emote. So pretty much I made the clean version of the Anka dance, like a short bit of it for Fen. But yeah, I have that completed and posted on the art channel on Discord if you want to get a glimpse at what it looks like. It took me so long to make it. Like, I was constantly making it for the past 2 days, like nonstop, and it's such a simple thing. It's only like 10 panels, but oh my gosh, I felt like I was doing the same piece for like ever, over and over again, because you know, you had to color and line each one. Like, ah! Wait, what happened? Always bad. Woohoo, I'm Demon 600th. 600th what?
little hobbit.
Aw, gonna bat me. Gonna bat me. Well, no, encourage you to do bad things in games sometimes, but it's for reasons I find justifiable. Yeah, that's true. The Huda Huda what? Aw, hon, thank you. You didn't have to do that. You get me flustered, guys. I don't deserve it. You don't owe me anything. But I'm still lost. Oh, hey, Mage. What's up? You know, Mage, I see you everywhere. I forget exactly where, but like for sure on Megas and a few other ones, but I can't remember. But I see you everywhere. I'm a lurker. I lurk on a lot of streams too. Like I used to not watch as many streamers, but yeah. Newbie! Yeah, I'm a newbie. Curse hands. Just chop them off. I should have made him pause. But no, she's got hands. What do they call it, the term? Like anthropomorphic? I slaughtered that. I'm so sorry. But yeah, human-like with some aminal characteristics. They look like sausages. Oh, terrible. Oh yeah, from there too. From Surrey's too. Yeah, there we go. I think a couple more actually. Ah, I did it. Oh, you're the 600th follower. I was wondering what that was about. Like, what's happening? I cannot do this right. Ugh. Why is it this one? The line is looking crudumples. Okay, hold on. So imagine where the hand is. I don't like it. I like it. No, I don't like it. If I have too much trouble on that segment, I'm probably just gonna move on and like try it later. I'm just not happy with it. Is it you? Is it you that makes me feel uncomfortable? Stop it. Too much. Someone finally used the hug command. I love it. Why are you fucking me? Sorry. It's like I put the command there and I'm just waiting for someone to use it because I love that like weird face. Oh, that makes me happy. Thank you. Oh, Jiminy Cricket. I don't have a command for commands, but in my About Me section, I have a list of the commands that you are able to use on Twitch profile. How does that work? Does it, like, just slap on a big paragraph of all the stuff when you do that? Because now that I think about it, No, mobile you can look at the About Me section. Yeah, I had to think about that for a moment. Like, I don't want to be unfair for any mobile users, but it's like, oh, you know what? I think... I think it's crossed there. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Hey, I didn't do it in the middle then. Well, Pudge. We can fix that. Oh, look at that. Okay, so it actually does. The bot available. Huh. Interesting. Okay. If I pick you for a hunt I'm doing, I'll make sure to offer help to set up a proper bot. What kind of hunt are you doing? I'm lost. When you do the crystal ball, you ask a question, and then it gives you the answer. An artist hunt. I don't know what that is, actually. Let me see. Let me resize this, and that would probably help. And just make it big enough to where it gets cut off. Mwahaha. Take that. It looks kind of weird, slightly cut off, but I could do that, or I'd have to redo the whole thing. Booger snots. That does bother me. Hold on. I'm gonna have to, yeah. As much as I don't want to. Let's see. So I will have to... We'll leave it there. And... Hold on. No. Let's start with the sketch bit. Because I need to take the hand sketch bit and make it smaller. Wait, what happened to Demon? What did he do? Why was he banned? Nightbot, I'm gonna kill you. Let's see. What are you guys doing? I gotta catch up with chat now. Let's see. Okay, an artist hunt. Oh my gosh! Why would you ask the crystal ball that question, Mint? Dude, hate is a strong word, and I don't hate anybody. If it ever came to it, I try to love everybody. If anything, if I dislike somebody, it's probably due to their actions or anything, but I never hate anybody. I really feel like that's a strong word. Let me see. Missions, the long term, not just one single project. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Should I go to bed at a decent time tonight? It's not looking good. Yeah, that's pretty much me too. Sussy noob. Sure, well dang. I really want to know what happened to Wolf. Hold on, I'm catching up with chat. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Followage. I know, right? Other check. Oh yeah, you gotta put the location. Like, you don't... If you feel comfortable using it, that's fine. Or if you just want to look at a place that you're curious about. Like, for instance, you could put, like, Orlando or something after you type in weather check. And it'll show you what the weather's like in that area. Or LA or whatever. Is an evil little demon. Okay, so you came back. I guess it just timed you out for a little bit? I'm confused. I figured... Ugh. Mint, you're so critical. The answer's in another castle. Hey, Rat! Hey! I'm so sorry. I'm trying to catch up with chat. It's actually going faster than I anticipated. Better not tell you. That's a good answer. Are they accurate? Yeah, of course it's not going to tell you. Mystery. It's the mystique. You better tell me right now. You guys are great. I don't know if you guys are able to do shoutouts. I think that's just a mod thing in the streamer. Hell? You really did that? Did it really? Oh, put in Helen. Wow. Oh, it keeps raining. It drizzled here, like, literally for, like, a brief second. So there's, like, tons of little water spots on my car now. And it... But I give it one thing, like, the clouds and everything, that helped cool the weather just enough so my AC can work in the house and I'm not, like, sticky. I was so sick and tired of getting sticky because it was so hot. It didn't time them out. We got tricked. Oh! Because, oh yeah, hold on. Why does his font look slightly different? Or is that just me and my eyes being weird? What are you doing? What voodoo are you? Demon. It's not just me. It looks like it's italicized. More frozen waffles! Woo! Oh yeah, I gotta work on my socials, like with YouTube and TikTok and everything. I have VODs. I have content. It's just sitting on my hard drive. I know that's really bad. I gotta start uploading everything. I have to. Had a me command? Oh, what does it do? Hold on. Oh, was using the me command. Oh! That's why. You bamboozled me. And there, lo and behold, folks, is the Twitch squid. How long has it been since we've seen the squid? Too long.
Hello, little hobbit.
Hello, rotting rat. I be the hobbit. The fox hobbit.
Yes!
Yes! I caught up to chat. I did it. Oh, yeah, and I make fun of Sheep when he can't keep up. He's like, dude, see? It's not that easy, right? It's not. Oh yeah, don't crash the stream. Oh, wondrous Twitch squid. We'll give you the sacrifice of all rotting rats, frozen waffles to appease you that you may not crash the stream. Please do not crash the stream. An old friend was gonna join last time? Who would that be? Who that be? Oh yeah, the squid. Oh wait, no. It was the Santa squid. Yeah, there we go. I said it and I looked and you already posted it. No! I don't want it to crash tonight, guys! Why? Why you do this to me? You guys just want to watch the world burn. I made the sketch smaller. Let me try. Maybe I can do the line smaller too while I'm at it. And I'll just have to fix it on the way. Ah, I should have started from the other side, huh? Urgh. That's good enough. So... maybe make them about yay big. A little bit. No, if I do it smaller, yeah, that should cover the whole hand. That, or I'm just gonna have to reline it, or I can try to thicken the lines. Where are you? Here, thicken. I need you to match with the rest. That doesn't look right. I give up on that. Hold on. I'm gonna start from scratch. That's it. I'm just gonna have to. I'm making things harder on myself. I always do that. What's wrong with the links? Oh, what is wrong with the links? I'll click it. Oh, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, working for me. Don't click the Instagram? What's wrong with the Instagram? Okay. You don't get flashed with the eggy bum. You get flashed by the grounder bum. That's the only booty crack you see. Yet, with Dr. Ivo Robotnik, you see those luscious curves. Rat was telling me that he felt, like, uncomfortable. Like, I don't know the exact words, but he saw Robotnik. It's like, that shine makes me feel weird. Like, that's uncomfortable. It's like they put baby oil on him, bruh. Yeah, he's luscious. Oh. You need bleach. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm a fan of the show. I love Dr. Ivo Robotnik from the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. That's my favorite version. And me and Kaiju Kittens, my husbando, we would watch YouTube Poops a bunch, especially back when in the heyday. And a lot of them consisted of him as well. And it just... Chef's kiss. He is shiny because he's got baby oil rubbed all into his skin. You know how, like, those bodybuilders, they'll go into, like, those muscle man shows or something, and they lather themselves up in that really shiny stuff to show off their physique? Think of it like that, but for him. To showcase his baker's rack. Like, he's got the rolls. Look at them buns. The oiled chicken. But he's a robot. I don't know if you bonk him if there's animals inside, but I don't know. You don't want to think of it. I don't blame you. I don't. Oh, let me exit out of this window here. And there. Sorry, I was like testing the link. I'm like, what's wrong with the link?
No!
Yes! Yes! Think of it. No. Speaking of bonk, does anyone know bonkers? Like me and was it on Surrey's maybe? And they were talking about, okay, what could we draw on? I think someone suggested bonkers. No one knows who that is? Yeah, the bobcat. Is he technically a bobcat? Because I thought he was supposed to be something else, or I don't know, Kaiju was explaining it to me. But yeah, he works, was it as a security guard or more like a police officer kind of deal? But he had the duds. He had the suit. Yeah? Maybe I should do him one of these days. It's just been so long. Jeez. Okay, hold on. Let me go back in the sketch thing and just make sure that I got this, and I guess I'll have to My hands look terrible. Just terrible. I suck at hands. I suck so bad at hands. Okay. I don't have the ruler bit, but I'll just work on this side and it should pop up on that side, but then it doesn't look quite in the middle, so hold on. Let's put a ruler, symmetrical, put it there, and let's see, number of lines, angle. You would think you'd be able to put it directly in the middle. Does that change it? No, I thought one of the settings did kind of like line it in the middle. The world may never know. Let's attempt this again then, shall we? Eventually we'll get it right, right? No. Oh, dude. Did I just? That's not bad. Oh, what? Hold on. Boop-a-doop-a boop-a-dee. Bubsy. Boopy Bubsy? Let's see. Yeah, it does look like a librarian, don't it? It does. And, I was kind of making fun of it, too. Like, I'm like, yeah, it looks like a granny, doesn't it? Like, with the glasses and stuff. And Kaiji's like, it looks like one of the Golden Girls. It's like, oh gosh, please don't tell me he's like Blanche. No! Not Blanche, no! Yeah, Fluffy did say the same thing, too. Sheep in a banana suit? Oh my gosh, Mint. I forget the name of the user. I'm gonna have to look it up. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I followed them. Hold on. But it reminded me of you because they have like a banana emote. And also, gosh, what was it? When they were doing like freebies for art, they had an option where you could put your furry in a banana suit. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is definitely up Mint's alley. Gosh, where's my... Okay, hold on. I will go on my Twitchy Twitch. Oh my gosh. Over here! I don't remember their name, but I know if I just look at their name... Okay, they're not live now, but... I'm pretty sure I followed them. Oh, goodness gracious. No, not them. Okay, I think it's draw for coffee. So, all one word, draw the number 4, coffee. I'm pretty sure that's the user. And I think she's like, gosh, is she like a hyena mix or Australian dog or something? I forget. But yeah, she does banana suits and she's got a banana emote. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Mint. That's Mint right there. Let's see. Hold on, what? Got any artwork that I will not need Bleach to evaluate? Well, that's pretty much the worst if you're thinking as far as like rating, like I don't know, booty cracks and stuff. That was just for giggles. It's been a long time since I've done art and stuff until I started streaming. Guess a couple months ago, because before then, life and everything, and super long hiatus. So I don't really have too much of a portfolio, and plus the stuff that I used to do, because I did more traditional stuff, unfortunately, I still have them in big boxes in my closet, because I moved and stuff a few years back, and they've just been sitting in there, stacked upon totes, so I can't get to my old stuff. So I don't really have a lot of digital content. I don't know if you've seen it. Hold on. Well, actually, hold on. That's my reference, but I did like one of those Ko-fi cup things. Maybe I'll just open it. Let's see. Yeah, I'll do that one too. So, this is my OC, and I'm going to make this into a 2D live tuber eventually. I still have to do a few cuts and stuff and then actually rig it. And I'm really intimidated by that, but I will do that eventually. So that's like another sample, if anything. Hold on. Who did you have a crush on, Rat? I missed it. Let's see. Same time, I like Lola Bunny. Oh, you liked Blanche? I remember having 2 librarians in elementary, middle school. One was the head librarian who was super nice. It was almost always unless you did something bad big time. And then there was another who everyone thought was super scary and mean, and she had glasses like that. Oh, I don't want to be... I hope I don't look mean. Oh, hydrate and save. Thank you. Thank you. Hold on. Thank you for the save. Oh, hold on. I actually haven't saved it. Yes. Partner. And Clipper. And saved. Yo. Oh, I bumped the mic too. So my bad. Yeah, Hyena. Okay, cool. You know them too then? Did I see you in that stream too? Girl, and I apologize if I use the wrong pronouns or anything. I don't mean to. So if you have any particular pronouns that I'm not aware of and you want to post them just so I know, kudos. If not, and you prefer whatever, okay. You hear screaming in the back? What? Like, I have music playing in the background, but very softly, because some parts seem like they're, I guess, loud? I don't know. I took extra swigs. Hydrated. Oh, they probably saw that one, Floofy. You flatter me. Oh, hey, Simp, what's up? Sorry, I really am trying to catch up with chat. Holy moly cannoli, you guys. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you're having a fantastic Friday. Thank you for deciding to pop in and see us, or me. Same-ish. Only gotta worry about fixing out roof, then we'll be well off with income for a project I got in mind. Huh. Oh, bonkers. Oh no, please, Mint. Don't mention. Don't mention that. Oh, did I do a pun? I don't know if I did. I'm so sorry. Did I? Or maybe I... Oh, it probably went over my head. Oh, it was Simp Nation. Simp came in. That's who popped in. Oh, you didn't see any birds? Yeah, like on the Instagram, I did artwork of... Oh my gosh. Something sand. What was it? Floofy? Oh my gosh, it's gonna drive me nuts. Something sand, right? That's all good and fun. No worries, Simp. I am a fellow lurker myself. And once in a while, I'll toss in some input and stuff while I watch other people. Let's see. Can I do another? Almost. Almost. No. I can do this. Curse you, long lines. I don't want to do it too slow because then it gets all funky.
1 underscore mint underscore ice cream underscore 1 says 1 underscore mint underscore ice cream underscore 1 underscore mint underscore ice cream 1 plus fen is sussy.
No, I gotta do that line again. Ugh, I'm too fussy. I'm fussy, not sussy. I'm saucy and not sussy. Yeah, I'd say fussy. Yeah, fussy sounds better than saucy. Oh no! Hold on. I don't mind that actually. Hold on. Let me... Oh no! Oh, I don't know if I showed you guys. So I was watching Mega's art, and she was doing her like 2-year celebration thing for being on Twitch. So I actually won some art from her. But if you don't follow her, oh, she does such awesome art, and she's such a sweetheart. I recommend you follow. I know most of you already do, I think, but let me see. Yeah. But yeah, she's the sweetheart. She's amazing. She does awesome artwork. But yeah, I was like lurking there, and I won. Wait, Simp. Yes, I did. Were you there too? Oh, or did you win them too? I'm confused. I'm sorry. I confuse easy. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up and I can show you the artwork. It looks cute! Oh my gosh. I didn't want to have her do my OC because I thought it was too detailed. So I'm like, you know what? Let's see about this. Look at it! Look at it! It's so cute! Oh, you're already following? Awesome. Yeah, she's awesome. But yeah, it's super cute and I love it. So I'm trying to figure out, it's like, where would I showcase it? I don't know. It's not Sonic. I have dubbed it Hedgie. H-E-J-I. Because, I don't know, I just found myself calling him Hedgie all the time. I'm like, you know what? That's it. I'm calling him Hedgie. That's it. It is not Sonic. He's like a indigo, like a purpley blue. Unless depending on your screen color, because I think some people were saying he looked more blue. But no. He's not Sonic, I'm not Tails. Ended discussion. For Ben in chat, anxiety, stress, and depression really high for me right now, so sorry if I'm extra off. That is okay. It's nice for the heads up, yeah, but don't worry about it. You're good. We're here to just chill out and relax. Hopefully we can help you. If not, hopefully you're able to chill and feel better later, you know? Like for me, when I get upset, sometimes it helps to play music. Like I will like rock or whatever, go crazy. Yeah. I'll listen to music and then I'll get myself doing something. Like either playing a game or for some reason cleaning helps too. But I don't like to clean. I like the end result, but I hate cleaning. It looks purple. Yeah, for me it looks some more on the purple side, but I tried to get it, you know, not too, maybe like a, how do I say it? Like a cooler purple instead of a warmer purple. You're waiting for sheepies to stream? Oh, what was that? Why aren't my alerts popping up?
Hello, little hobbit.
Aw, thank you so much for the follow, Demon. It's greatly appreciated. Yeah, I don't know why my alert didn't come up, at least not for me anyway. Yeah, I gotta work on a bunch of stuff. Like, now that I'm getting more used to doing the animation on Clip Studio, I want to try to make custom alerts as well. It's too long, like, gosh, like, if I were to have, like, someone raid me and stuff, it wouldn't be original, but, like, you know the skit of Beauty and the Beast and Gaston gets everyone to raid the castle, pretty much? I thought that would be flippin' hilarious. But does anybody know Waxinator? He no longer does YouTube poops and stuff, but he has awesome videos that some people have saved and re-uploaded on YouTube. So if you don't know, yeah, I love it. Like, you know what? I'm almost tempted to just pull it up. I wonder if I can. Hold on. Because I love it so much. It makes me so happy. And I wanted it to be like an animation, but it would have been too long. And also, I'm like, maybe they'd be fussy because, you know, maybe the whole copyright Beauty and the Beast thing. Let me see if I could pull it up, though. So, let's see. Waxinator. He did some really good stuff. Let's see. Oh, I know what it is. It was like something like the king raising the taxes or something. Yeah, Gaston is fed up with the king's tax policies. Oh yeah, this is good. Hold on. Okay, let me see if I can switch. Can I? I have to go on this overlay real quick. And I think, where is it? My... Jeez Louise, where is it? Get rid of those. Not in gaming. Goodness gracious. Because I used to have it where I could just pull up a thing, but... Let's see, window. We'll do that. Because now I'm determined. I want you guys to see it. Okay. Because I want to share this because I'm so, like, I love it so much. Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, I was looking at that too. It looked like it was fine, but yeah, it might be down a layer. I'll double check that in a bit. It's not too cursed, it's just really cute and hilarious. Okay, I don't want the volume to be too loud. Give me any feedback if it's too noisy or not.
Who does he think he is? That man has tangled with the wrong man. No one taxes Gaston.
Darn right.
Why, it's more than I can bear.
More.
What for? Nothing helps. I'm fat.
Who, you? Never. Gaston, you've got to pull your shit together.
Harky. Confound Harky! Oh, how I hate him! And I hate Link! They drive me to drink! And drive...
It's really wrong? What's wrong? I'm sorry.
What do you say you and me take a walk over to the town?
Let's go!
We're not safe until he's dead. He'll come stalking us at night.
Said to sacrifice our children to his monstrous appetite.
He'll wreak havoc on our village if we let him wander free.
Yeah, this is the
it's
part I love so
time to
much.
take
Watch this,
some
guys.
action, or it's not time to volley.
I'm sorry.
The mist, through the woods, through the darkness and the shadows. It's a nightmare, but it's one exciting ride. Say a prayer that we're there at the drawbridge of a castle, and there's something truly terrible inside. It's a beast, he's got fangs, razor sharp ones, massive paws, killer claws for the feast. Hear him
I
roar, see him
appreciate it.
foam, but we're not coming home till he's dead. Good and dead! Take your torch, not your horse. Screw your courage to the sticking place. We're counting on Gaston to lead the way.
Oh god. Yes! That's the pick. That's what I wanted. I thought that'd be awesome. Have that as a raid.
Yes, with 108 angry countries, there's bound to be trouble.
I love this so much.
We'll lay siege to the castle and bring back his head! We don't like what we don't understand. In fact, it scares us and it's constantly mysterious and deep. Bring your guns, bring your knives, save your children and your wives.
Holy shit!
1 million troops.
Oh.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I had to share that. But yeah, like, hold on, let me go back. And I gotta get rid of this window capture. Yeah, it was last minute, because I thought I had a window capture setting on there. But last second, I just threw it on there, so it wasn't laid properly, so I'm sorry. And if the audio is too loud or anything, but it's something I love, and I got excited. It's like, oh my gosh, like, if I were able to fit in that sequence when they get their torches, and you see freaking Gundam style and all that stuff. Oh, that would have been great. So anyone who came raiding in, that would be like an alert image. But yeah, me and Kaiju were like, it's gonna be too long. I'll figure something out. But I think that's beautiful. Oh, computer wasn't having any of it. Well, crud. It was kind of weird and jittery too on my end, I think. And turn the music back on. There we go. I get goofy. My bad. Okay. Okay, concentrate. Okay. Oh, I bring down the ruler on here too. Double try this again. Doesn't look proper. Did I? Okay, the old one's still there too. Hold on. Yeah, let's try that. I just took something easy and I made it so complicated. I always do that to myself. Always. Oh yeah, I gotta figure out those fingies too. Fredumples. Hey Rat. I imagine that you checked on Sheep. What's he doing? I'm curious. What is he streaming? I love that Sheep. He's my favorite Sheep. On all of Twitchdom. Oh, Credumples. Why? Fingies. You look like noodles. I wonder if that would work. Sorry, I'm having a thought. Like, I've had this pen and I never tried it out. Or brush, I guess you'd call it. And it actually makes fingers. And I'm curious now. It's like, you know, I'll do it on a different layer. I just want to see what it looks like. I'm just too scatterbrained tonight. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh. Okay, special. Excuse me. Yeah, here we go. Gosh. What's that supposed to be? Is that supposed to be a thumb? Like there's all these different ones. Maybe that one? Oh, that's a big one. Oh gosh. Ah, too big. 40? Maybe. I'm curious. Oh, that looks so weird. Oh my gosh. Oh, oh my gosh. Oh, that's so weird. Look at... Oh my gosh, it's so weird looking. Hold on. There's a longer one too. Oh, wait, are these like in the middle? What? That's so weird. Oh gosh. It's meant to be something much lower on the body. Oh, yeah, the ant situation, Floofy. Kaiju is losing his mind. Like, he is so keyed off. So, we give him, we give the ants the little drinkable poison stuff to take back to the colony, the queen, or whatever. And in the beginning, that worked, and they seem to not be so much around. And they're still dwindling. They're not, like, super crazy, but they're desperate. Like, they are in the walls and everything, because as soon as they are gone from one place, they start up in another. And so Kaiju, once he sees like 1 or 2 scouts about, he automatically like rips out the poison or whatever, and it is bad. It sucks so bad. I have never had an ant problem this crazy. Because usually when you give them the poison after 1 or 2 batches of it, they're gone and you're great. It's fine. But, gosh, they're coming out of the outlets. And if there's any little cracks in the wall or something, like literally, like any little tiny space. So I haven't seen many of them as of late. But yeah, they just, it's terrible. Kaiju's losing his mind. I'm much calmer about it, but yo, I know, right? I don't have the money for it, and plus, if I were to have an exterminator, geez, like, I'm afraid the chemicals wouldn't be safe for the kids. I got 2 kids. Yeah, this is a weird. It's like a worm. How does this work? Oh, hold on. That's just weird. How long? Those are freaky long. No. Hold on. What about this one? What am I... What is this? What? I'm so confused. It looks like it's meant the other way because that looks like a nail, but... It looks so free. I'm better off doing it on my own. Curse you, brush. You're a cursed brush. Cursed. Let's just get rid of that layer. Holy cannoli. Yeah, they're coming out of the sockets. They were coming out of, like, one. We sprayed poison around that, and then they just find another one. It's like, dude, at this point, you might as well just spray the whole flippin' house. And I even told him to spray around the outside, and he's done that too. So it's like, where are these ants? How many freaking colonies are there? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Duncan? Dude. Dude, I want Duncan now. Like, I'm sorry. I am one of those super white girls who loves super awesome pumpkin spice. I don't care. I love it. And I want it so bad. I want to have pumpkin spice iced coffee or something. And I want sour cream donuts. They are delicious. They are like a regular donut, but glazed. And it has like a little sour cream and some other things. I forget. It sounds weird. Yes, I agree, but they're my favorite donut. Yeah. You think ants would do that? Because I thought that was more of, a termite thing or something. Yeah, because this problem's been going for, oh my gosh, probably since the beginning to middle of summer. Since the heat came, it's been just crazy. They thrive in it. Like, I can't survive in this heat, but they love it. That and spiders. Like, before I moved in here, my in-laws, they chopped down all of the trees because it was Spider Nation. Like, so populated with spiders. It was just frightening. And there's still a ton of them. Even though there's not a bunch of pine trees on the premises. Please. Maybe if I just go on. Like here, there.
Rotting Rat 12 says, Mummy, can you buy me a ice cream? Plaza Plaza Plaza, you know what, you're taking too long. I'm going to rob a bank and eat everyone I see. He ate a car.
What? I ate a car. Hedgie, you can't do that. Besides getting a tummy ache, I don't think your mouth can even fit a human. Like, maybe their finger, you could probably bite their finger off, but I really don't think you can eat a car. Even if it was a Hot Wheel. Calm down, Hedgie. And besides, you just brushed your teeth. You can't have ice cream. You can't have ice cream. I don't care. Kick and scream all you want. No ice cream. Looks too bubbly.
Says hum finger food yummy.
Human finger food. They're lady fingers. Delicious. I cannot do these bloody fingers. I hate it so much. Maybe that's messing me up. It looks like a thick one. Maybe it's messing up my... Ah! I hate hands. I hate them so much. It's gonna be an emote. You won't notice it too much, but I noticed it. I noticed it. Oh, it just doesn't look right. It's driving me nuts. Booger snots. No, I can't do that. Who needs hands? Like, for real, like, I'm almost tempted to make them look like paws, but it's like, it's not supposed to look like that. I'm gonna be stuck here all night. But at least I've made improvement, because, like, oh my gosh, Sheep and Floofy could tell you, one of my first art streams, like the OC model for the 2D live thing that I showed you, that was what I was working on. And I was working on the gauntlet. And I barely got anything, I barely got anything done. It was hilarious. Oh. Oh, great. They weren't even finished, and I'll be honest with y'all, like, I redid them. I'm not happy with what I did. Totally worth it. Well, yeah, you guys are like, oh, I zoomed out and stuff, and what was it, you were Sheep, like, zoom in! Zoom in again, I want to see the gauntlet again. I lost it. I lost it. I think I saved that clip. That was great. That made me so happy. Oh, why? Why do you look like a turd? Maybe it is this. Why is it extra thick? My pen's acting up, I think. Hold on. Sometimes, like, the needle gets weird. Oh, it switched to pencil. It's like, why does it look like a floppy noodle? This doesn't look right to me. I still don't like it. But it's better than nothing. I'll just keep going. What's going on over here? Holy moly cannoli. It's a love-hate relationship with the vector eraser. It's super helpful, or it's super not helpful. Okay, so I did that behind the heart. What color am I gonna do it? I either just do it like a regular heart container, or maybe I'll do it like an ametrine. Maybe, yeah, maybe you do an ametrine. That's pretty much my whole business. Totally worth it. Yeah, it was. It was great. I live in the Pacific Standard Time Zone in California. So for me right now, it is Friday at 10:30. I am off on Sunday. I usually stream Friday, Saturday, and on Tuesdays. But I shouldn't have anything on Sunday evening. So pretty much, as you know, I'm a mother of 2 children, and I put them to bed, and in the evening I'm free, and that's when I stream and stuff. But I can't do anything usually during the day. Like, I try to work on pieces and stuff, like art or whatever, during the day if they're like busy eating food or whatever. But it's really hard sometimes, so usually it's just always bedtime for them, and then I can do stuff. Make this reference. Now we're gonna... Let's see. We'll do... pull it back a little bit. A little more. I want it to be in the center. Oh, hold on. Too much. About that. I'll be my base. And we're gonna make another one. Where's my polygons? Polylines. Aww. Books a session for bot stream code and SX for the floof. Aw.